If you haven't had an opportunity to watch the latest episode of The Walking Dead, stop listening now. Major spoilers, here we go. Tonight's episode was called Consumed. Stakes are high when members of the group must go on a heroic rescue mission in a previously known location. The previously known location is the location that Beth was in 2 weeks ago. So we finally get to see and we find out how Carol ended up on the gurney being pushed in, or wheeled into the hospital, and then Beth saw her laying down like she was injured. We did get an update on Daryl, and we got an update on Noah. It looks like Noah's going to be around for a while, which is very interesting. Daryl and Carol, this was their episode tonight, and with this podcast tonight, I'm going to start from the beginning and I'll go to the end because I think it's very important. I'm not going to really talk about it too much. I'm just going to talk about the things that I like, and then after that we'll keep going. But it was a Carol focused episode, but it was like a Daryl and Carol show. You see what I'm saying? Like, we finally get some questions answered about Daryl and Carol's relationship. We also get some questions answered about what happened with the two little girls, because we know that they, had to look at the flowers. We know that one of them was psycho and ended up killing her older sister. And then after that, we didn't know what happened with Tyrese and why Tyrese is so different. We finally get to understand all that tonight, man. It was really perfectly done. One of the most beautiful things about the episode was that we went back to Atlanta. So the episode begins with a familiar scene. It shows Rick and Carol talking, and then Rick, puts Carol or points towards like a car, and then Carol drives away, and then she's crying because that's the point where Rick pushed her out of the group. Then from that point, we see Carol actually, beginning her journey alone. And she's pretty much like she's given up. She's lost all hope, man. There's like, there's this car that she's in, and she's just sitting there crying. She's trying to have like some peace, maybe even, a moment to kill herself. And then all of a sudden a walker walks up to her window, punches and starts slapping on her window, and then she yells, "Leave me alone," and then she drives off down the road. Now, she ends up heading back into Atlanta for a little while, okay? And then she finds, different spots to where she can stay and have, safety. She finds a really nice little cozy office, and then she stays in there, and then she has this book about child abuse. So I think that while she was alone, she was still thinking about Daryl. She was still thinking about, their situation, maybe their relationship. She was thinking about her past situation with her kids, Sophia and Ed. She was thinking about so many different things. And that's, I think, what kept her alive, man. Anyway, whenever she wakes up in the morning or whatever, she sees a little bit of smoke, okay? And then she ends up driving back to this location. And I'm kind of skipping ahead in the episode a little bit, but I'm just trying to get to this point. She sees the smoke. She drives until she finds it. And then after that, she has to walk a little bit. And then she sees that it's the prison. The prison is on fire, man. Now, what was kind of really cool about it is that Carol was actually inside the vehicle, and you could see the how do you want to say it? The road that she was on, it said, hitchhikers may be prison inmates or escape prison inmates, something like that. And then, so you knew exactly where she was heading at. The way that they did it was just really, really awesome. She was flying down that road, and then all of a sudden, as she pulled up to the prison, the only thing that you saw was the prison through the prison's reflection on her window, and it was on fire. It was burning. It was on fire. It was ablaze. And then she just started crying, man. After that, they kind of fast forward a little bit. She's walking, and then after that, you see her like covered in that goop and all that stuff. She sits down, wipes herself off, and then after that, that she's at terminus, okay? So it kind of caught you up with every single thing that happened with her and why she is the way she is, man. She broke down crying, man, like when she saw the prison on fire because she thought everybody was dead. And then after that, it looks like she just stopped caring, and it was all about survival. Survival was her only instinct, man. So, when you think about how she immediately tore those dudes up when she found Tyrese, like, that was because she's been through so much, man. There's really no emotion left, but it's about survival, man. Now, the thing with Daryl, we run into a situation where when we saw the I'm not gonna say it's a preacher vehicle anymore. I'm gonna say like it's an emergency ambulance vehicle. Okay, that's what I'm gonna say it is, because I don't think it's a preacher vehicle anymore. I think it's just white emergency decals on the back of the car. So anyway, they're chasing that. They turn the light. They have the lights off. They're using a vehicle that doesn't have that much gas. They're tailing this thing. Then all of a sudden, the car that has Beth, it stops. And then they stop a little ways back. They have their lights off. Somebody gets out, and then they, end up kind of. It looks like almost like using one of the walkers or some flesh as bait. And then after that, they take Beth. It looks like they take Beth inside the hospital. But they end up losing, They end up losing their trail because the car that Daryl and Carol are driving runs out of gas. After that, they have to get out and kind of fend for themselves because there's this huge herd of walkers that's inside of Atlanta, man. Now, what's beautiful about this, when they're trailing these guys, when they're trailing them, you remember that one shot from season 1 where it shows Rick on the horse and he's kind of walking out of Atlanta, and then they have another shot where, remember when we first meet Glenn and we first get Rick. That's that Glenn's taking Rick to meet the rest of the gang, Shane and the rest of them, and see his wife, Lori and little young Carl and et cetera, et cetera. That same scene where they're driving out of the city, now we're driving back in, and you get to see Atlanta, destroyed, man. Napalm bombs have really blackened the city. I can't even really describe it. Like, there's pieces and chunks of buildings missing. There's cars that are burned. The place where Rick had to go underneath the tank, that's still there. But it's like it's I can't even. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, it's been 5 years, so you get to see 5 years worth of growth on the grass. Dirt. Destruction, garbage, dead zombie. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, there's so much detail, man. It's so beautiful, man. Anyway, Daryl uses a legal pad to distract the zombie, which I thought was pretty dope because the zombies are attracted to like heat and fire and I thought it was like how you smell, but I guess it's pretty much anything that can distract him was pretty cool, man. I'm not gonna lie. So he threw the legal pad, he distracted them. And then Carol takes him to a place that she knows before, and then they kind of start talking. Now there's this moment where, when Daryl gets Carol inside of this, or when Carol takes Daryl inside of her little safety net, they walk past these sleeping walker zombies, man. They're like sleeping in sleeping bags, man. Now, I think what happened with these walkers is that they either were killed inside their sleeping bags, or they were just put there, and then whenever the napalm dropped and the gas and all that stuff, maybe that's what happened. I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, they're walker sleeping bag zombies. It's really funny. And then anyway, Carol takes Daryl inside of her room, and then they start talking for a little bit. There's a top bunk, there's a bottom bunk. Okay, so you got top bunks. She's like, I'll take the top, you take the bottom. And then Daryl's like, well, I think we're pretty safe in here. And it was kind of like one of those moments where, like, yo, I wanna definitely bang you right now, but I don't know if this is the right time. And then apparently it wasn't. And then they start talking for a little bit, and then she explains some stuff. She starts talking about Sophia and Ed, and about them. Have you completely started over? And if we are going to start over, what does that mean? Pretty much, man. Like, starting over is like, let's not try to kill everybody that you think is a threat. Let's try to work it out first. And then all of a sudden you see somebody that had followed them, and that ends up turning out to be Noah. And the morning comes, they try to sneak out. Noah grabs Carol, and he's like, yo, give me your crossbow, give me your automatic weapons. Takes all the weapons, releases the walkers that are inside of the sleeping bag, and then after that runs off. Later on, they catch up with him, and then you have this moment where Noah's trapped underneath this shelf as Daryl gets his crossbow back, and he's like, "I'm not going to save you. I tried to save you before, and now I'll give you pretty much the walker." And then Carol's like, we should let him live, because previously Carol's about to shoot this dude. It looked like she was going to shoot him in his back and kill him, and then Daryl stopped Carol from doing that. So it looks like she kind of got a little bit of her humanity back in that moment. Anyway, the good thing is that they saved Noah. Noah told them about Beth because they started talking about her, and then after that, they hear that someone's coming because of the shots that were fired, and then after that, it's really a tough thing to talk about, man, because Carol runs out into the street. I don't know why she did this. This is pretty stupid, because she looked out the window. She saw that the vehicle that the enemy, let's call it the enemy, is traveling alongside the exterior of the building on a road. So the door that she ran out of, that would have been where the car would have ended up at, because that's the opening of the building. So anyway, she ran out and she got hit. And then they pick her up, they put her inside of, the car, and they take her back to the hospital. And then Daryl and Noah, they just kind of wait for a little bit, man. They're like, wait. Noah's like, don't worry, she's going to be okay. We'll get Beth back. Episode ends and blah, blah, blah. That's all. Everything's good to go. But I don't know, man. I don't know what's really going to happen, man. I really don't know, man. I'm really confused, man. Because I think that she might end up dying because of her injuries, man. Now, I did leave something out, and the reason why is because I'm going to start another podcast for that, okay? So don't sit there and write in the comments. I did leave something out, a major scene, and the reason why is I want to talk about that all on its own, man. Guys, thanks again for watching, man. We're out of here. I went way over time. That's like 11 minutes.